Hold on, I just turned it on. Ladies and gentlemen, the Alabama Senate will now come to order. Our prayer today will be delivered by Dr. Isaac Jones. Dr. Jones is a veterinarian and poultry and cattle farmer. He's a member of this year's Alpha Leaders class and brother of Senator Andrew Jones.
Thank you all for allowing our class to be here today in your all's chambers. Let's pray. Dear Lord, I want to thank you for today. I want to thank you for who you are. I want to thank you for your son and thank you for your promise. Please allow us to make decisions that are beneficial to you and in the eyes of you and the state. And thank you for your promise. I want to thank you for everything that you have done for us, and please be with the leadership here today. Allow them to make choices that are honorable to you. Thank you for all that you do. Amen.
All right, thank you, Dr. Jones. Today, the pledge will be led by Destry Hopper. Mr. Hopper is a member of Alpha Leaders class and is a guest of Senator Elliott.
Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
All right, thank you. Secretary, call the roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Allen. Mr. Barfoot. Mr. Beasley. Here, Greg. Mr. Bell. Mr. Butler. Mr. Conley. Mr. Chambliss. Mr. Chastain. Ms. Coleman. Ms. Coleman Madison. Mr. Elliott. Ms. Figures. Mr. Gavan. Mr. Gudger. Double dipping. Mr. Hatcher. Mr. Hovey. Mr. Jones. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kitchens. Mr. Livingston. Mr. Melson. Mr. Orr. Mr. Price. Mr. Reed. Mr. Roberts. Mr. Sessions. Mr. Shellnut. Mr. Singleton. Mr. Smitherman. Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stutz. Mr. Wagner. Ms. Weaver. Mr. Williams.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have 29 senators present, which is a quorum. The Senate is ready to transact business.
Mr. President,
Senator Wagner.
move that we excuse absent senators.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. President,
Senator Wagner.
move that we dispense with the reading of the journal from the previous legislative day and that we adopt said journal.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered. All right, now move on to introduction of bills. Make a motion for us to receive bills throughout the day.
Mr. President, make a
Senator
motion
Sessions.
to receive bills throughout the day.
Any objection? You object? All right, then we're on bills. So if you want to introduce bills, we need to do it now. Yeah, we'll wait on you.
Senate Bill number 155 by Senator Chambliss, relating to transportation, is referred to the Committee on Transportation and Energy. Senate Bill number 156 by Senator Chambliss, relating to Autauga County, is referred to the Committee on Local Legislation with notice and proof. What are we on, 157?
I'll do this one already.
Yeah. Four. Senate Bill number 157 by Senator Orr and others. Relating to public education employees is referred to the Committee on Education Policy. Senate Bill number 158 by Senator Shelnut relating to insurance is referred to the Committee on Banking and Insurance. Senate Bill number 159 by Senator Melson relating to in vitro fertilization is referred to the Committee on Health Care.
No confirmation.
Senate Bill number 160 by Senator Stutz and others relating to in vitro fertilization is referred to the Committee on Health Care. Senate Bill number 161 by Senator Beasley and others relating to sheriffs is referred to the Committee on County and Municipal Government.
Mr. President,
Senator Smithman.
request the title be read.
All right, Secretary, read the title. I was wondering where you were.
I was trying to get myself organized, not for this, but for other stuff I got to do too.
Senate Bill number 161 relating to sheriffs to authorize sheriffs to conduct fundraising events within their respective counties to provide for the proceeds of a fundraising event to support the operations of their respective offices and to ratify and confirm certain prior actions. Senate Bill number 162. By Senator Barfoot, relating to the Study Commission on Interagency Cooperation and Collaboration on the Rehabilitation and Reintegration of Formerly Incarcerated Individuals, is referred to the Committee on County and Municipal Government.
Mr. President,
Senator Smithman.
I request the title be read.
All right, Secretary, read the title.
Relating to the Study Commission on Interagency Cooperation and Collaboration on the Rehabilitation and Reintegration of Formerly Incarcerated Individuals, to amend Section 3 of Act 2021-478, 2021 regular session, as amended by Act 2022-409 of the 2022 regular session, to extend the dissolution date of the Study Commission, to add additional members of the commission, to provide for the retroactive effect, and to provide for expenses. Senate Bill number 163 by Senator Williams relating to Mobile County is referred to the Committee on Local Legislation, Mobile.
Mr. President,
Senate Bill.
request the
Secretary,
title.
read the title.
All right. Relating to Mobile County to amend Section 4549-140.08 of the Code of Alabama 1975 relating to firefighting and emergency medical service districts and the boards of trustees of the districts to further provide for the procedure to fill vacancies on the Board of Trustees of the districts. This needs to be written in. 163.
Yeah, William.
All right, I'd like to recognize. All right, I'd like to recognize some special guests in the gallery. The guest of Senator Stewart, when I call your name, if you could please stand. From Monroe County, Probate Judge Sonia Stinson, Commissioner Justin Sawyer, EMA Director Chuck Downing. If y'all could please stand, welcome to the Alabama Senate.
Senate Bill number 164 by Senator Price and others relating to animals is referred to the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Forestry. Senate Bill number 165 by Senator Smitherman relating to public education is referred to the Committee on Education Policy.
Mr. President,
Senator Smitherman.
I request the title be read.
Art Secretary, read the title.
Relating to K through 12 public education to amend section 16114 Code of Alabama to provide a uniform system of procedural due process protections for students facing suspension or expulsion for violating the Student Code of Conduct or state law, and to require the State Board of Education to adopt rules to implement this act. Senate Bill number 166 by Senator Coleman Madison and others relating to the general retirement system for employees of Jefferson County is referred to the Committee on Local Legislation with notice and proof.
Mr. President,
Senator Smitherman.
request the title be read.
All right, Secretary, read the title.
Is that LLJ?
Yes. Relating to general retirement system for employees of Jefferson County to amend sections 4537-123.01, 4537-123.20, 4537-123.21, 4537-123.22, 4537-123.23, 4537-123.24, 4537-123.25, 4537-123.26, 4537-123.27, 4537-123.28, 4537-123.29, 4537-123.50, 4537-123.54, 4537-123.80, 4537-123.82, 4537-123.83, 4537-123.84, 4537-123.100, 4537-123.101, 4537-123.102, 4537-123.103, 4537-123.104, 4537-123.106, 4537-123.108, 4537-123.132, 4537-123.150, 4537-123.191, 4537-123.194, and 4537-123.195 Code of Alabama 1975 to clarify who is a designated beneficiary, to identify the Personnel Board of Jefferson County as the civil service system of Jefferson County, to define
About 3 or 4 pages. No, there's a rule. We don't have.
it's about 4 more pages. To define missing participants and missing beneficiaries as a participant of beneficiaries whose whereabouts are unknown to the system or who is non-responsive, to clarify categories of membership and benefits, to clarify that all members who are not vested are non-vested, to clarify that a member's benefit becomes partially vested and non-forfeitable upon 10 years of paid service and fully vested and non-forfeitable upon 15 years of paid service, and to accurately reflect the method by which the county remits employer and employee contributions to the system, to authorize the pension board to pay any sums reasonably necessary to defray administrative expenses of the plan before remitting employer and employee contributions to the trust fund, to establish additional qualifications and procedures for individuals elected or appointed to serve on the pension board, to provide for electronic forms of notice, to clarify that the election of pension board members number 4 and 5 are supervised by members volunteering to serve as the election board, to clarify that only a beneficiary designated by the number shall constitute a beneficiary under the plan. That's it. What number was that?
All right, I'd like to recognize some special guests in the gallery. The guest of Senator Jones. When I call your name, if you could please stand. Angie Reynolds, Jessica Taylor, Michelle Brown, and Zayden Brown. If y'all could please stand. Welcome to the Alabama Senate.
Senate Bill number 167 by Senator Coleman relating to the Alabama Jobs Act is referred to the Committee on Fiscal Responsibility and Economic Development.
Request title be
All right, Secretary, read the title.
Relating to the Alabama Jobs Act to amend Section 4018-373 and Section 4018-374 as last amended by Act 2023-34, 2023 Regular Session Code of Alabama to provide that a business may not receive certain incentives if the company, its subsidiaries, or suppliers have engaged in human trafficking or violated the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938 and would provide if violations were committed. All or part of the Jobs Act incentives may be recaptured. Senate Bill number 168 by Senator Weaver relating to economic development is referred to the Committee on County and Municipal Government.
All right, any other bills that need to be introduced? Senator Williams, did you introduce your bill? Okay. All right. Hey, do we have house messages? We do? We taking them? All right. Now move on to a house messages. Secretary, call the first house message. Before we do that, I want to recognize some more special guests in the gallery. The Alabama Farmers Federation leadership class. If y'all could please stand. The guest of the entire Alabama Senate. Welcome to the Alabama Senate. All right, Secretary, call the first House message.
Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill number 69 by Representative McCampbell is sent to the Committee on Health Care. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill number 54 by Representative Bedsole and others relating to firefighters is referred to the Committee on Finance and Taxation General Fund. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill number 52 by Representative Rigsby relating to the Board of Pharmacy is referred to the Committee on Health Care. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated, passed the following House bill, and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill number 46 by Representative Moore, P., relating to vehicle registration of volunteer rescue squad vehicles, is referred to the Committee on State Government. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following engrossed House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate. House Bill number 10 by Representative Pringle relating to crimes and offenses is referred to the Judiciary Committee. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House, Mr. President. The House of Representatives has originated and passed the following engrossed House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate. House Bill number 168 by Representative Woods and others relating to child sexual abuse material is referred to the Judiciary Committee. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House, Mr. President. The House of Representatives has originated and passed the following engrossed House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate. House Bill number 161 by Representative Moore, P., and others relating to crimes and offenses is sent to the Judiciary Committee. Message from the House, Mr. President. The House of Representatives has a
61.
Judiciary. The House of Representatives has originated and passed the following engrossed House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate. House Bill number 55 by Representative Bolton and others relating to motor vehicles is referred to the Committee on Veterans and Military Affairs. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House, Mr. President. The House of Representatives has originated and passed the following engrossed House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate. House Bill number 131 by Representatives Butler and Gidley relating to health care is referred to the Committee on State Government. Gidley. Message from the House, Mr. President. The House of Representatives has originated and passed the following engrossed House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate. House Bill number 121 by Representative Carnes and others relating to county and municipal employees is referred to the Committee on County and Municipal Government. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House, Mr. President. The House of Representatives has originated and passed the following engrossed House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate. House Bill number 71 by Representative Klaus relating to the retirement systems of Alabama is referred to the Finance and Taxation General Fund Committee. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House, Mr. President. The House of Representatives has originated and passed the following engrossed House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate. House Bill number 171 by Representative Sells and others relating to ad valorem taxation is referred to the Committee on Finance and Taxation General Fund. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House, Mr. President. The House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill number 77 by Representative Rigsby relating to newborn screening is referred to the Health Care Committee. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk.
Where do you go?
Health Care. Message from the House, Mr. President. The House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill number 113 by Representative Warren and others relating to attendance at public schools is referred to the Committee on Education Policy. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk.
That all of them, Marshall?
All right, this includes House messages. And now, Senator Smithman,
Mr. President, could I be aroused for a moment of personal privilege?
you're recognized.
Thank you very much. Members, today we're going to present our moment in Black history. The person that we're featuring today is Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou was a multi-talented poet and author known for her acclaimed 1969 memoir, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. A multi-talented writer and performer, Maya Angelou is best known for her works as an author and poet. As I mentioned, her 1969 memoir, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, made literary history as the first nonfiction bestseller by a black woman. Some of her famous poems included Phenomenal Woman, Still I Rise, and On the Pulse of Morning, which she recited at President Bill Clinton's inauguration in 1993, and which earned her a Grammy Award. Angelou also enjoyed a career as a Tony and Emmy-nominated actor and singer in plays, musicals, and on screen. She became the first black woman to have a screenplay produced with the 1972 movie Georgia. In her work as a civil rights activist, she collaborated with Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X, among others. The Presidential Medal of Freedom recipient died in May 2014 at the age of 86. Maya Angelou was born Marquetta Ann Johnson on April 4th, 1928 in St. Louis. She had a difficult childhood. Her parents split up when she was very young, and she and her older brother, Bailey, were sent to live with their parental grandmother, Ann Henderson, in Stamps, Arkansas. Bailey gave Marquetta the nickname Maya, which she would adopt as her preferred name later in life. As an African American, Angelou experienced firsthand racial prejudice and discrimination in Arkansas. She also suffered violence at home when she was around the age of 7. During a visit with her mother, Maya was raped by her mother's boyfriend. As vengeance for the sexual assault, her uncles killed the boyfriend. Young Maya was so traumatized by the experience that she stopped talking. She returned to Arkansas and spent about 5 years as a virtually mute. A short-lived high school relationship resulted in Maya becoming pregnant. She was 16 years old when she delivered her son, Guy Johnson, in 1944. After giving birth, she worked a number of jobs to support herself and her child. Around this time, Maya moved to San Francisco and won a scholarship to study dance and acting at California Labor School. She also became the first black female cable car conductor, a job she held only briefly in San Francisco. Maya Angelou was nominated for an Emmy Award for her performance in the TV miniserie Roots, based on Alex Haley's best-selling novel. In the mid-1950s, the world began to know Maya Angelou, her professional name adopted from her first husband's last name. When her career as an actor and singer took off, she landed a role in a touring production of Porgy and Bess, later appearing in the off-Broadway production Claspio Heat Wave, 1957, and releasing her first album, Miss Claypole's. A member of the Harlem Writers Guild and a civil rights activist, Angelou organized and started the musical revue Cabaret for Freedom as a benefit for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, which Martin Luther King Jr. helped found before becoming its first president. Angelou also served as the SCLC Northern Coordinator and became a close to King. In 1961, Angelou appeared in the off-Broadway production Jeans, Jeanette, The Blacks, with James Earl Jones, Louis Gossett Jr., and Cissy Tyson. After the performer retreated from the theater scene for much of the 1960s, she lived abroad, first in Egypt, then in Ghana, and worked as an editor and freelance writer. Angelou also held a position at the University of Ghana for a time. In Ghana, she also joined a community of revolutionist returners, exploring a Pan-Africanism and became close with activists and black nationalist leaders. In 1964, upon return to the United States, Angelo helped Malcolm X set up the Organization of African American Unity, which disbanded after his assassination the following year. Back in the United States, Angelo earned a Tony Award nominee for her role in the play Look Away in 1973, and an Emmy nomination for her work on the television ministry Roots in 1977, among other honors. In conclusion, I will read one of her poems, the one that's entitled Still I Rise. You may write me down in history with the bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust, I'll arise. Does my sassiness upset you? What are you besieged with gloom? Why are you besieged with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons, like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bold-headed and lowered eyes, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries. Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, but you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air, I rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meetings of my thighs? Out of the huts of history, shame I rise. Up from a past that roots in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, wailing and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind night of terror and fear, I rise. Into the daybreak that's wonderfully clear, I rise. Bring the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. Thank you very much, Mr. President, and this is our moment in Black history.
All right, thanks, Senator Smithman. All right, now move on to committee reports. Secretary, call the first committee.
From the Committee on Local Legislation, Shelby County, House Bill number 97 receives a favorable report by a vote of 4 ayes and 0 nays.
Mr. President,
Senator Smithman.
could you title read?
Yeah, Secretary, read the title.
Relating to the city of Pelham in Shelby County to repeal Act 89-189 of the 1989 regular session as amended by Act 2001-906 of the 2001 third special session and as amended and reenacted by Act 2015-419 of the 2015 regular session, Acts 2015, and to establish a new civil service system that provides for a personnel board, human resources director, employee classification and pay, employment, retention, and disciplinary process, and for employee appeals.
This bill has received a second read and be placed on the calendar for next legislative day. This concludes committee reports. So any other, now we need to move on to motions and resolutions.
Mr. President,
Senator Reed.
Mr. President, today is the 10th legislative day. We're required to bring up sunset, so I'd like to bring up the first sunset bill.
All right, Secretary, call the first sunset bill.
On page 8 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 44 by Senator Kitchens relating to the Alabama Sunset Law, Department of Insurance, BIR pending.
Senator Reed.
Mr. President, let me explain to the membership kind of where we are with this. And I've been talking with the minority whip here about our process today. Sunset's required to be brought up on the 10th legislative day. So we have, I think, a total of 35 sunset bills. I have the ability to carry those bills over. I've been advised by the secretary in the process. So what we would like to do is we've brought up the first bill. We've got a special order calendar that we're intended to move to. So I brought up the first bill. My colleague is going to want to say something about the first bill, and then we're going to pass the first bill, and then I'm going to be in a motion of carrying over the balance of the sunset bills for the purpose of a special order calendar. So with that, my colleague's got some comments he wants to make, and he needs to be recognized.
Mr. Pro Tem, no,
Yes,
just once the bill come up, I'm gonna make some comment on actually the bill itself. So when they bring it up,
So we're on Senate Bill 44 right now.
if that's the sunset bill,
We're on the BIR.
we on the BR.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to be recognized then
All right,
for the BR.
you're recognized.
Okay. Which one is it? What is it?
Senate Bill 44. Can we get Senator Kitchens up to explain it?
No, I just thought that I was just trying to find out, does it relate to heating and air? Does it relate to cosmetology? Because see, they got some books back there and I wanted,
You want?
okay. The reason we need to get that is that legislative reference has a report. I'll tell the members too. They have a report on each one of these. And so I actually want to talk about, not the complete time, but I want to talk about actually what we up here going over, what changes they talking about making. That book is going to reflect some of the problems that they, if it's in it, if it's not in it, it'll reflect the dynamics of the board. It'll reflect all of that. That book, they do a good job of that. And so we need to know the name, so I wouldn't be talking about heating and air. And the bill is insurance.
Senator, why don't I make this suggestion? We're on the BIR. You're trying to locate the information to be able to talk about the bill. Why don't we get a long roll, let that process carry out on the BIR? Then you can be recognized on the bill, and you'll have the information to be able to talk about the specifics of Senate Bill 44.
That'd be fine.
Okay. With that, Mr. President, I'd like to move the BIR using the long roll.
All right. Secretary, call the long roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Allen. Mr. Barfoot. Mr. Beasley. Mr. Bell. Mr. Butler. Mr. Conley. Mr. Chambliss. Mr. Chasteen. Ms. Coleman. Ms. Coleman Madison. Mr. Elliott. Ms. Figures. Mr. Gavan. Mr. Gudger. Mr. Hatcher. Mr. Hovey. Mr. Jones, Mr. Kelly, Mr. Kitchens, Mr. Livingston, Mr. Melson, Mr. Orr, Mr. Price, Mr. Reed, Mr. Roberts, Mr. Sessions, Mr. Shelnut, Mr. Singleton, Mr. Smitherman, Mr. Stewart, Mr. Stutz, Mr. Wagner, Ms. Weaver, Mr. Williams,
All right, 32 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 8 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 44 by Senator Kitchens relating to the Sunset Law, Department of Insurance.
All right, all right, Senator Smitherman.
I didn't. I was kind of. I won't say I was like you, but I was kind of, the pro tem over there. We got to recognize him, and so I want to be recognized while I was doing like this right here. But let me say this. What Senator Kitchens? What senator? I don't know if you need to go there by him because I got some questions.
I think this will be a good time for Senator Kitchens' first time at the mic.
You need
Senator Smitherman, this will be a great time for Senator Kitchens' first time at the mic, don't you think?
Yeah, come on up.
Yeah,
now.
Senator Kitchens, you're recognized for discussion. Senator Smitherman has the mic.
And the bad part for you, I don't mean bad, but bad you being your first time. They done sent you up here on a very, very difficult issue that they trying to do here, and you don't even realize it. I know you don't. I know you don't. That's why I'm just saying it like I'm saying. I almost feel for you. I do because what I'm gonna ask you, and if I'm not gonna try to put you on the spot, but it's gonna be so heavy what I'm gonna ask you that it's gonna take a solid explanation. And it's simply this. I was able to get some information about this bill. And this bill is purporting to take the insurance, you call it department or whatever, outside of Sunset. So they just do what they want to do with no oversight, no nothing. That's what they're trying to get us to vote to do today in Sunset, to eliminate them from ever having to come for a review. Ain't no way we can do that. So if you could tell me why it's better to do from what I just said, I'm gonna give you the opportunity. That's why I say I feel sorry for you, that you got the answer. I feel sorry. Now you may have the answer. Now I'm gonna sit and listen.
Well, thank you.
So I'm Mr. President, I'm gonna let him go and talk and do what he need to do.
All right.
Okay.
Senator
We got an hour.
Yeah.
We got an hour, so this is
We can talk basketball here in a second. This bill, the reason this came about, and they were approved for a 4-year extension, this was the last cabinet level position, that department that is still under the sunset. So it's to remove it from that. The Sunset Committee can still call it back up at any time to review it in the future, but it's to remove it from that 4-year process.
Well, it's now. How you think? I shouldn't say that because I got told you this your first time coming up here. Let me recalibrate myself. Now, imagine that they want to be considered the way you said because they are a cabinet position, and yet we spent 3 days last week trying to eliminate the cabinet position of minority affairs. Eliminate it. Now think about the contrast. I'm standing up here. These folks want to be treated like everybody else, And then last week you were trying to eliminate the little cabinet, one little cabinet position that did something to help black folks. We wanted to just eliminate it. We didn't, but the original bill would have. We wanted to eliminate them. Why should we let these guys here get special privileges when we didn't want to even consider them to survive? Think about that. They go back to my airplane, don't it? See all these other consequences? You see what I mean? Now, why should we do that? Please tell me, and I'm gonna be quiet and listen to you.
Well,
get through.
this agency is actually the largest agency that goes through the Sunset Committee with the amount of paperwork that they bring in every single time that they go through it. So that's part of that process on when it relates to the Department of Insurance. Again, all the other agencies that had been under Sunset in the past, they had all been removed. This is just that last one and the last step in removing them from Sunset.
Well, it sounds like the solution to this, then we need to increase their appropriation. They got too much paperwork, they need some folk to work. Can't we do that? I mean, I think in here, having been on Sunset for about 8 years, when I first came to the legislature, I was on the Sunset Committee. And I tell you who I was on that with. What is his name? Some of y'all gonna remember who was here a long time ago. It was Representative Robertson from up around Vernon, up in that area. He played the guitar. He played the guitar in the house. Do y'all remember him? Where he was the person that was kind of, we worked on Sunset. He was from the house, and we need to have them on the Sunset. Do you realize how these rates are going up on insurance? And they're going to try to justify them by saying they need this reason. That the oversight will make sure that whether or not the justification is legitimate. Am I right? That's what Sunset Review is, isn't it? We review them. So they need to stay under review. That's all I'm saying. They do, for real. They need to stay on it. What you think? I mean, I know you think the opposite. But that's the only reason that they want to leave, because they said too much paperwork.
Well, that's just one of the many things, because, again, the Sunset Committee can still call them back up at any time. They still can go through that process at any time. So the committee can still review anything that they have at any given year. This just removes them from being required every single time. So if there's a question that comes up, if you want to bring a question, the Sunset Committee still has the authority to bring that up at any time in the future.
How are they going to do that and they're not under their review anymore? What can you get one of them to give us the statute that established it, that it can be done that way? Oh, you might have it.
I may have it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you an insurance man.
I am an insurance man.
Oh, you the man. I done got the real man up here. Oh, that's good. Huh? Oh. Yeah, I got the expert up here. That's what I'm talking about. I almost went in that direction for insurance. Because, see, in college, you know how you can declare majors, and I took a lot of business courses, in different respective entities. And I actually took enough insurance courses and insurance-related courses that I could have declared insurance as a major. Because I actually graduated with a Bachelor of Business Administration. But my concentrated areas was management, marketing, and insurance. And so you see what I mean? So I thought about it first starting up being an underwriter, but I don't know, but I thought about that. But you the man though, so go right on. Go right on.
They're pulling a couple of things for me, but right now, and it says in the bill, 41-20-3, so it wouldn't relate to anything on those sides of it, but again, would remove it from sunset under this circumstances, but would not relate to 41-20-3 of the Code of Alabama.
Okay, what, they gonna get you a copy of that code?
They're pulling, yeah, they're pulling those notes.
Oh,
I'll get it to
okay.
you.
Okay, good then, good. I told you, you the man. Everybody else been saying, well, so you went right on and said, this is, pull your phone.
Well, I may be an insurance guy. I'm not an attorney, so I need some people like you to help me on these code sections.
How long you been in the insurance business?
I've been in the insurance business about 8 years.
Oh, yeah, you passed 5, you veteran status now. Anytime you get 5 or more, you veteran. So you in veteran status. That is good. Do you have your own agency?
It's an independent agency, yes, sir.
Okay, where's it located?
They're in Arab, my hometown.
Yeah, okay. Okay, that is good, man. That is good. Yeah. Oh, yeah. What lines you say? What line do you carry? Everything?
We carry everything. We're with an independent agency. We've got all personal lines, commercial, property casualty, life insurance. We do it all.
Okay. Look at you. That's all right. That's the kind of job you could probably do well in being down here because you can kind of schedule your appointments. You know, it's not just 8 to 5. I bet you see people on weekends.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, at night. You know, this whenever you need to see them. That's right. That's good. That's so good. Now, since I got this little book up here, while I'm looking, I'm gonna just tell you, I guess this is the book. No, it ain't. It's not a book. What the? Oh, I know what it is. It's not a book up here. They usually have the breakdown also of the board and the makeup of the board and all that. Do you know anything about their board?
I don't have the breakdown, but when they bring me my folder here in a second, that might have that in there for you.
Okay, okay. Because they usually have it in a little book like this one. It's got this. This is the Department of Insurance book, but it doesn't. It more or less. Let's see. Yeah. It sort of has their like their little audit report and some of the bills that have been passed in here, and the different divisions about the funds and the fire aspect. And this book has more to deal with the fire marshal's information. This one does. It doesn't break down like what you sent for. You know, most of the time those books have what yours have in it. You know what I mean? So. You think they're gonna get it?
They're on their way.
Now let me say this to you. That I can look around in this room. See, these are years of being down here. I can look in this room. And I can see people with 5 o'clock in their eyes. I can just see it in some of these eyes, 5 o'clock. So. All right. Are you ready yet? Lay it on me.
I've got some stuff here now, so.
All right, lay it on me. Go right on.
Well, like I said, this was originally adopted in 1976, and there were 106 entities listed at that time. And again, the enumerated agencies, so 14 different departments of the state have been removed from that, and that would this would expand it to that, to the Department of Insurance as well.
So 14, you said 14 were removed?
Yes.
What, name me 2 of them that were out of the 14?
It would be those cabinet level different things that report to the cabinet position, cabinet appointed positions. Those agencies had been removed in the past. A lot of those, really, it started happening in 1979. The last one was removed in 1991.
Okay.
It's been a while since the last one's been removed.
Yeah, the person that's over this agency, are they appointed by the governor?
They are, yes.
Oh, the insurance?
Yes.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, okay. Well, you know, that part makes sense. But now, so hey, you halfway there now. I want you to know that. You have arrived. You are halfway getting your goal. The other part, though, can you either show me mean I'll walk over there, you walk over here, where it says in that code section that we can bring them back up if we do this. If we do what you want done, you know, I just want to know that we can,
Well,
the code says we can do it.
And I'll get that exact code, but it does say on here, with any enumerated agencies, the Sunset Committee still has the authority to conduct an audit of any non-enumerated agency as it deems appropriate.
Okay, but what, after we do that, what authority we gonna have then? See, right now, we can zap them. We can shut them down. We can eliminate their whole department right now. You know, well, to the whatever degree that we can under Sunset. Okay, but when we do this, we won't have that power no more. We can bring them in and say, "Why you do this?" And then they gonna say, "I don't want to tell you." Then what we gonna do?
Well, and I think that's part of the issue on this, because the Department of Insurance, they're over an industry, there's over $32 billion that are through that department. That's kind of where I'm talking about on the size of the agency. So there's over $32 billion that come through annually from Alabama citizens, and that's where there's a difference in some of these other boards and agencies that we face on the amount that they actually oversee.
And we want to give it the big ticket item we oversee to see the little crumbs. The crumbs, this one of the big things we responsible for. We want to give it up. The responsibility. I'm asking, do we really want to do this? I know they want you to pass the bill to do this, but now I'm changing you from being the bill sponsor just to the senator. Do we really want to do this? And you don't have to answer. I'll know if you don't answer what the answer really means. See, so if you think do we want to do this? I said, should we? Do we want to do this though?
I think it's. Sorry. No. Okay.
I see you getting some tutelage from the chairman. From the chairman.
Maybe I learned my lesson. He asked if I wanted to carry this bill when I first started, so now I know why maybe he didn't carry it himself.
Oh, he's a good chairman. I mean, I'm proud to say I'm on the committee with y'all. I wasn't there when we did this bill, but I because it came through Sunset and it was one we probably, did that. I probably been in another meeting. But go right on. What'd you give me?
Well, and I'll expand on it. 41-20-3, and this is what it says in there. Either house may pass a resolution instructing the Sunset Committee to review an enumerated or non-enumerated agency. After passage of said resolution, the Sunset Committee shall review such agency and report its findings as provided in subsection D of that, which is what I just read was subsection D. So.
Look at you. You are the man over there in that insurance. You got it. You really got it. So I am just impressed by how you got that information, and how you answered that question. I just want to tell you that. So, Mr. President, I'm going to yield back for him to do what he desires to do with the bill. I'm going back to him.
Thanks, Senator Smitherman. And by the way, Senator Kitchens, he has 2 teams in the Final Four from his district.
I
Which
do.
Yeah.
DAR High School, their boys teams, and Guntersville High School. Both of those are in the finals.
Well, I think I will see you soon.
You probably will.
Up in Senate
That's
District
right.
18.
That's right.
All right, Senator Kitchens.
I move for final passage using the previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered. Mr.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Williams.
33 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 44 passes. Thank you, Senator Kitchens.
Good job, Senator. Good job.
Mr. President,
Senator Reed.
Mr. President, so at this point, we passed the first of the sunset bills, and so at this point, I'd like to carry over the sunset bills to make way for the special order calendar.
All right. Okay. For that, it takes a 3/5 vote, which we'll have to do the long roll on.
Okay.
All right. So, Secretary, call the long roll. Or you could use previous roll.
Previous roll.
All right. Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Williams.
All right. 33 ayes, 0 nays. The motion is approved.
So do I need to renew my motion, Mr. President, in regards to setting aside sunset?
Take up an order of business. We don't have he needs to offer the special order.
Okay, so we can offer the special order now, and then it'll be the opportunity to set aside. All right, thank you.
Mr. President, have a report from the Committee on Rules.
All right. Secretary Reed received the report from the Committee on Rules.
From the Committee on Rules, Senate Resolution Number 22, Special Order Calendar. Be it resolved by the Senate that the Legislature of Alabama that immediately upon the adoption of this resolution, the following business in the order set forth below shall be the special paramount order of business for the 10th legislative day, taking precedence over the regular order of business or any pending or unfinished business. On page 5, Senate Bill number 18 by Senator Coleman relating to the commencement of actions. On page 2, Senate Bill 7 by Senator Elliott relating to school safety. On page 19, Senate Bill 25 by Senator Weaver relating to the Board of Nursing. On page 19, Senate Bill 26 by Senator Weaver relating to the Board of Nursing. On page 10, Senate Bill 106 by Senator Kitchens relating to the Commerce Department. On page 3, Senate Bill 53 by Senator Orr relating to child labor. On page 5, Senate Bill 105 by Senators Singleton and Orr relating to civil liability. On page 26, Senate Bill number 50 by Senator Allen relating to appliances. On page 6, Senate Bill 100 by Senator Chasteen relating to the Board of Medical Scholarship Awards Fund. On page 11, Senate Bill 101 by Senator Kelly relating to the Board of Heating and Air Conditioning and Refrigeration. On page 18, Senate Bill 15 by Senator Beasley relating to the Board of Pharmacy. On page 18, Senate Bill 59 by Senators Orr and Melson relating to education. On page 9, Senate Bill 46 by Senator Shellnut relating to the Insurance Department. On page 9, Senate Bill 47 by Senator Shellnut relating to insurance.
Mr. President,
Yes, Senator Wagner.
move the Senate adopt the report from the Committee on Rules using the short roll.
May I be recognized?
Yeah, you recognize?
All right. He doesn't have to go too far because I don't necessarily want to talk real long on this or anything. It's just what I was going to say was that I always try to give flowers where you're supposed to give them, even though sometimes you have to bring the rain. And I surely wouldn't give you flowers and just tell you I appreciate you. I guess you having something to work with by putting our bills on this agenda. So I don't. It doesn't go unnoticed. Just like the other way, it shouldn't go unnoticed this way. So I want to thank you very much for doing that. Now to make things probably all as you want to say, and a lot of times you don't know what fair is, do you? Sometimes fair ain't what you might think fair is. But in this case, we have an opportunity to make this real fair. We got 3 hours. If we pass the first 3 bills, we'll have 1 hour bills on the minority side and 2 on the majority side, and that will be the way it's supposed to be. 1/3 passed over here, 2/3 passed over there, and then we going on home. That may be an option. But then on the other hand, if we work real hard, we could possibly get through these bills I would ask when people come up to please just explain to everybody what your bill really does, and so we would know, and then it would allow us, I think, time to get it done and possibly give you a chance to do whatever else on your agenda for this evening. So with that, I yield back to the Rules Chair. I'm through talking, and I yield back to him.
All right. I think he had a motion to adopt the special order calendar. Do you, excuse me, do you want to use previous roll?
The previous row.
Any objection? All right, hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams,
34 ayes, 0 nays. The special order calendar is adopted. Secretary, call the first bill.
on page 5 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 18 by Senator Coleman relating to commencement of actions. BR pending.
Thank you so much for the recognition. So for the years I've been here, you know, I had to ask myself on certain pieces of legislation to my colleague, have we really helped anybody? You know, there have been some that I actually feel that have been passed in this body that have hurt folks. But Senate Bill 18 is an opportunity to truly help some survivors of child sex assault. We're actually referring to this bill as the Scouts Honor Bill. And again, this is going to give those survivors the opportunity to participate in the federal Boy Scout, I need you, the federal Boy Scout Settlement Trust Fund.
Would you allow me to yield so I could be recognized? Would you yield?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Well,
sure.
recognized.
Yeah. Well, she's got the mic. Y'all recognized for discussion. Does that work?
Yes, sir. I didn't make myself clear, and I apologize to everybody, including you. For time's sake, unless you don't want to, I mean, I'm not trying to tell nobody what to do with their bill. I make sure everybody understand that. But go on and move it past the BIR and use the previous role. Then we could talk to part that we're going to have a conversation, be on the bill, and so that just help time. Because I want to, I want us to pass, if we can, to pass everybody's bill. It's just that, you see what I'm saying? So I yield back to you.
Thank you so much. You know, I'm new, still trying to figure the process out. So, Mr. Chair, I move passage of the BIR using the previous role.
Are there any objection? Secretary, call the roll.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams,
34 ayes, 0 nays. BR passes. Secretary, call the bill.
on page 5 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 18 by Senator Coleman relating to commencement of actions. Committee substitute pending.
Senator Coleman.
Thank you. To my colleague, we also do have a committee sub pending that was passed in the Judiciary Committee. So just for process sake, should we go ahead and adopt that sub before we start talking?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I want you to tell me about the sub. Now, you know this. Let me say this. I was glad your bill was first.
Thank you.
Because I'm going to remind you something what my mama told me. I worried my mama about being in her class. She would teach the 3rd grade, the 5th grade. And she said, no, you don't want to be in my class. She wouldn't even let me be in it. So finally, when she got in the 6th, she moved up to 6th grade. I was in the 6th grade because, see, we had a small 1A high school. You know, before integration, we was in a 1A high school. And so 7th grade went to the same school, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So before it was my last year, I wanted to be in her class. So we had a little spelling bee contest. Not contest, but had spelling words.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this. But she said, I made a 90. I missed 2 words. And see, there was back where you could give corporal punishment. It was legal. And so she would say this. She said that, she told me, she said, come up front. The whole class, now this is my first week in class. My mama now, who I rode to school with, she said, come up in front of the class. She said, class, she said, you know, you get a lick for every word that you miss. She said, and I'm gonna bring him up here to let y'all know what's gonna happen to y'all, okay? So, unfortunately for you, you up here and they gonna see what's finna happen to them. They gonna find out, they gonna really say, Smithman really does not discriminate. They gonna know that off the bat.
Well,
I don't discriminate.
You did that on the first one, though, on the sunset bill. That's where I thought you were doing it at.
Now, it's a good bill.
Yes, sir.
I wanna clear that up to everybody. It's a good bill. But I don't know if we need to pass it because you got to April. Am I right?
We have until April, but we got to get it through both houses and to the governor's desk before April.
Okay, and this is really almost March.
That's correct.
We
Yes,
got
sir.
2 or 3. You got me on that one right there.
Pay attention to who got the hammer.
That sounds like you trying to. That sounds like you trying to make an example out of me. Go right home. So tell us about that part.
Yeah, so actually several years ago, I had some survivors of child sex assault to reach out to me. I think this is our 4th year, and we had a sweeping bill first that would have extended the statute of limitation, because what we know is from studies that many of these survivors don't even start talking about the trauma that they experienced until their 50s. So it's model legislation we've passed all over the country, but we hadn't done it yet here in Alabama. That's Senate Bill 19. But 18, though, is a true urgency, because there is a federal Boy Scout settlement trust fund. And we want to make sure that the 1,500 to 2,000, we're not even sure of the exact numbers, between 1,500 and 2,000 survivors of child sex assault in the state of Alabama have the ability to fully participate in this settlement fund. And, you know, we could talk a lot. I mean, many of us have read, even seen some of the documentaries about what some of these survivors went through. And this is an opportunity for us. We can't right the wrong, but this gives them an opportunity to be financially supported. Because here's the other thing that we know. A lot of these kids, they have had to, we as taxpayers have had to pay for foster care. We've had to pay for, through tax dollars, other services that they've needed. This is an opportunity for the Boy Scouts itself, who recognized their wrongdoing or their negligence in this particular situation when they knew that there was some scout leaders who had some issues and they didn't protect these children. And so this gives us an opportunity to right that wrong as much as we can as legislators in the state of Alabama, to give them the opportunity to at least try to get some dollars for what they've experienced. It doesn't cost the state of Alabama one dime. Again, that settlement fund is there, and I'm looking at my numbers. It's about 2.4. The fund has $2.4 billion. That money came specifically from the Boy Scouts itself, from their insurers, Chubb Insurance, along with other local sponsoring organizations that paid into the fund. And so we just want to make sure that our survivors in the state of Alabama have the ability to have access, to fully have access. If we don't pass this legislation before the deadline, they still will have some level of opportunity, but it's more at 30 to 35% of the amount of money that they could get. And so, here we have an opportunity to help these folks. And again, I kind of in my opening, before the gentleman got me together about the process, y'all, I've been here 20-something years, but y'all forget I'm still a new senator, and the rules are different different here. But this is a real opportunity. You know, there's some things sometimes that we have here, and you just really you question, you know, have we done something to help somebody? In this case, we get a chance to do something to help these survivors.
Good, that's good. I think that's real good. I'm glad you brought this. And I think another one of the senators.
Yeah, and thank you for that. I wanted to acknowledge, because I was looking around for Senator Chambliss today, and just in case he had to end up handling the bill, I didn't know what your posture was today, Senator. But we both had been, I had been working on this bill for a while, but he also was contacted by some of his constituents as well, understanding the urgency of trying to pass legislation, both bodies, because y'all know we've had some great pieces of legislation, but they get logged down behind something else.
Well, when you say you didn't know what my posture was going to be, let me just say this: it's non-discriminatory. That's
Yeah, I
my
see
posture.
that 100%.
If he had came, I would have been doing the same thing.
Today.
You up there is the same thing.
Yes, sir.
You know, but I really want to know about the bill.
Yes,
that
sir.
was it more than anything.
Yes, sir.
And being involved, you know, as a standpoint of attorney, I didn't know, you know, what it connected to, but I surely understand what you're saying about time, you know, having a limited amount of time. And so, Senator, I won't call no name, but he know what I'm talking about. If you want this mic to ask some questions, I'll step back yeah, okay, all right then. Yeah, if anybody got some questions to somebody else, by the way, I don't mind stepping back out the way of this mic and let you come up here if you got questions to ask people, because I'm not trying to do that.
I understand that.
Yeah, at all. Anybody's got questions.
Right. You had the opportunity in judiciary, either the last year or the year before, to hear from, there was a public hearing, and you got a chance to hear from some of those survivors, and it was on the longer version of the bill. And, you know, and to talk to, you know, people in their 50s and 60s, Senator, who, as they're telling the story, it takes them right back to 7 years old, 8 years old. Not a direct correlation, but even when you were talking about having to deal with that whooping that you got in front of the class from your mother, we're talking about some traumas that take them back to that exact age. And again, everything that they've had to experience through the years. And when I had men, you know, sitting, you know, as women, I was actually talking about this earlier today. I had a women's and minority business summit earlier today, and we were talking about, as women, we have all of these communities where we can share our trauma and our pain. We do it all the time. We share right here. But men oftentimes don't get a chance to share. It's not as socially acceptable.
We supposed to be strong.
Yeah, to share that level of trauma.
Society says that.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be that.
Right.
You know, and you're right. That's a lot of time men just want somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be another man. I mean, not opposite sex. They just want somebody just to listen.
Yeah.
That's all. You ain't got to say nothing. You ain't got to solve the problem. They just want somebody to sit there and be genuine concerned, but just to listen.
Yeah.
You're absolutely.
I think one of my survivors was saying, and I think I'm gonna say the wrong sport, but it was a male. And again, we're gonna get a chance to help these, and I'm saying boys, because again, these men, many of them are still kind of stuck at what happened to them, and we get a chance to do something. And when you were saying about kind of men being in community, and I think it was basketball, I think he said that they play basketball, it might have been basketball or golf, I don't know, that they do that as survive. They don't talk about just knowing that you're in the presence of someone else who has experienced the same thing. For them, it's therapeutic. But again, very different than women, because again, we talk all the time with our various, you know, communities of sisters, about all that we go through, from work, from children, from issues with, spouses or significant others, in addition to traumas. But men don't always have that safe space to do that. And so again, we get a chance to help some men and boys today.
How many bills have you passed since you just got in the Senate last year? How many bills have you passed?
Last year,
Up here in
I
the Senate.
passed 2 pieces of legislation last year, so this will be my first piece this session.
Okay. The reason I asked that is that I remember, I'm gonna tell you a story, and then you'll know what you ought to think about doing after
Okay.
the story.
Okay?
I'll never forget when I passed my first piece of legislation. I was standing at that mic right there, and I was sitting up here, and I was so elaborate about, I had a stack 3 times this high,
That's me.
full of stuff that I wanted to tell my colleagues in here about the bill. And whoever was the whip had gone around and determined that the body wanted to support the bill. And so I was up there just talking, and then all of a sudden, if you knew Senator Langford, he had this little slide about him that he would walk, and he eased over there. He said, he told me, now I'm not, this is not going to you. I'll tell you what he told me about me. He said, you up here, you're expounding so deep that you're about to unconvince people to vote for the bill. He said, why don't you just call for the vote? He said, and then just ease to your seat. He said, and you will be successful. So I'm going to turn it back over to you. And now you do what you think best. But that was just a few words of wisdom that I thought I would partake.
Thank you so much.
Out in the air.
Yeah, and I was listening
yield back
real
to her.
well.
I yield back to her, Mr. President.
Thank
All right,
you.
thanks, Senator
So,
Smithman.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Move passage or adoption of the committee substitute using the previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, 0 nays. The committee substitute's adopted. Senator Coleman,
Mr. Chair, move final passage as substituted using the previous role.
any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 18 passes. Thanks, Senator Coleman.
Really helped some people today. Thank you.
All right, Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 2 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 7 by Senator Elliott relating to school safety, BIR pending.
Good afternoon, Mr. President.
Senator Elliott.
Thank you. Folks, this bill deals with the ability for local law enforcement to contract with private schools to provide school resource officers. And if my colleague will allow, I'd like to go ahead and adopt the BIR using previous role without objection. BIR without objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 2 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 7 by Senator Elliott relating to school safety.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I do have a substitute that I'd like to go ahead and get on. Basically, what the substitute does is it puts some controls in there for the county commission, and it makes sure. Senator, I'm trying to get on a substitute, and I want to make sure you hear what I'm doing here.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So what it does is it puts some controls in for the county commission to make sure that they approve of the sheriff or local law enforcement, or the mayors approve of the local law enforcement providing these SRO services to private schools. So if they're going to go do that, they got to have the approval of the governing body and the ones with the money, right? And then 2, it makes sure that before we go out there and provide these services, these school resource officer services to private schools, we got all our public folks taken care of first. So that's what the substitute does, and I'd like to offer that sub at this point.
Okay.
All right, Secretary, read and receive the substitute, please.
Yep.
That's Sunday.
Substitute for Senate Bill number 7 by Senator Elliott.
Mr. President,
Senator Elliott.
I move we adopt the substitute using the previous role without objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, 0 nays. The Senator Elliott substitute's adopted. Senator Elliott.
I yield to my colleague who looks like he may have a question.
I'll be recognized.
All right, Senator Smithman.
Thank you. This, you know, I have a bill that's dealing with threats. And I have a couple, my colleagues in here who have amendments, and I'm in agreement with their amendments. Let me say that. And because they're bringing in some other people who should probably be covered on it. I think like the revenue commissioner, this was dealing with judges and terrorist threats, my bill. Because we had covered everybody
I can see why
else.
you got that bill, too.
But we had covered everybody else in the previous bill last year, and we didn't address judges. So one of our colleagues wanted to address the revenue commissioners, and it was, I don't know if it was the clerks or not, and I didn't have any problem with that. Now, having explained myself, I have a concern about the courts. And I have a concern because some of our court systems seems, in order to have security, they have to hire like security companies. Okay? I mean, which we want them to have security. But it's my understanding, not all of them, but it's my understanding that they have the options to hire you brought that in my mind when you mentioned this bill about some other thing. They have the options to hire sheriffs or the sheriff detail that's, for instance, not at work, but you know, when you all work, I guess they have a security within the sheriff department who want, I like about where it sounds like who want overtime. You know what it sounds like. All right. I would like to see that the sheriffs be a part of first, just kind of like the way you did with the public schools and the private schools. You said, let's make sure that the public schools are handled so it's in here, it's supposed to be, and I'm taking your word for it because I just got this, and I, you know, I'm taking it because I believe it, but I would like to see something like that for us to have maybe an amendment that says that our court system would first have to seek having the sheriffs to be the security, and if the sheriffs can't, then they go to a security company. Why? Because I witnessed a couple of things happening where a security company stepped in and did their job, but guess what? They had to call the sheriff department to come over there, you know, because they're not sheriffs. So why not have the sheriff over there in the first place? You see what I mean? I mean, that's why not. If they the one that you got to, after you go deal with this, you got to get either bag up or you got to get them to process it, because you can't process it through the thing. Why not have them right there? So with that, wouldn't this bill be a good bill? To have an amendment that said just what I just said. Since we saying the same thing over here with the schools, that, you know, get the sheriffs. And if, tell me your thoughts about that.
So I don't know that it would fit very well with this piece of legislation, but I understand that it is similar in nature. It's
germane. It's germane. It's not germane in a thick way. But you know, in the law, all you got to do is have what's called a nexus. That's the little rubber band that hook them together, and they can travel together. The fact that we're using the sheriffs, and the fact that subject matter security is a twofold nexus that hooks them up to be properly brought together. Now, tell me what your thoughts about that.
Now, you don't have to have a nexus because you got a committee chairman who will shoot your bill through in a heartbeat. So I think what you're doing is a good thing. Here's why I don't necessarily think it's going to work here is we're requiring the private schools to do basically two things. One, they've got to pay all the costs associated with that service, right? So I'm thinking maybe they ought to have to do that for judges maybe without the cost. So let's talk about that first. But we're requiring the private schools to pay all the cost of the SRO, and two, requiring that they have insurance that covers the activity of that public employee while they're on campus performing their duties. And so I'm not sure that it would fit well with this public entity, that is the courts, right? Then being substituted for the private entity, which is the private schools in here. I understand what you're trying to do, and I appreciate what you're trying to do, and I will help you with what you're trying to do. I'm just not sure it fits with this.
Well, I think it does, though. I'm going to tell you why.
Yes.
Because what is the money, on the money side, it's already been appropriated by the county commission. And if they have to have a supplemental appropriation, it'll come from them to a department that they already fund, which is the sheriff's department. So it wouldn't be a conflict because it's not private money coming, or public and private, public over here, but private money. It's all public. The money, the people we putting there is a department of the same people who fund it, and the same people who I want to say this, let me think, who are charged with providing security for the building. See, even though the courts come under the state, but the building comes under the county and the security.
Yeah, and let me.
That's why we don't have state troopers there at the door, which we wouldn't anyway. They'd be out there on the road. But that's why we don't have them or Leo necessary to be in there checking folk coming in. You know that they had those county deputy sheriff's uniforms if they're not private security.
Well, and that's what I need to ask you, and maybe you can educate me on this a little bit. So, former county commissioner in me, I remember, the sheriff's office provides courthouse security, like you're talking about, right? And it provides that for probate judge, and then all the district and circuit judges, and for the courthouse itself. But in Mobile, and maybe some of my colleagues from Mobile can tell you this, they've got their own police force that's completely separate from the county government, and so the judicial circuit has its own police force, police chief, the whole 9 yards in Mobile, and those people checking everybody in aren't county sheriffs, aren't municipal police officers, but rather are security for that judicial circuit.
Now I see why you said, I don't know if it'll work. So you got a different system down there. Where we are, it operates the way I just said. See, so I mean, I understand what you're saying. See, so what you would fall in line with what we did for Briarwood Christian School. Sort of deputize their security force, or better yet, how we do the security forces on some of our universities and making them where they have those powers, even though they got to come under a LEA for training, but they have the power. So that's probably what your system decided to take that approach in Mobile, to kind of deputize them under certain standards and have to have the same level of training, but they are independent department from the normal security department, like the sheriff's department or your county deputy department.
Yeah, it's different and completely separate. Like I said, there's a whole separate police force, police chief, and I need to dig into it more. That's on the other side of the bay, over there with Senator Sessions and Senator Williams, and Senator Figures that does that. I want to dig into that, and we can talk about that. And that might be a better solution for a big county like Jefferson, is to where the judges essentially have their own judicial police force, as opposed to relying on the county or relying on the municipality. It's theirs.
Well, we'd probably get a, now I'm warning everybody in here, we probably get a little pushback, see, and then they're going to test to see how strong some of us in here Because to do that, it's gonna require a lot of AOC. You see, they're gonna have to be involved if the judicial systems are gonna have their own security. Now, which we can, because it's kind of like the White House has their own security force.
Right.
So I know what you're saying, and I think it'll work, and we probably could have better controls, but how. When they start acting like they don't want to do it, how strong y'all gonna be? Say, no, we need to do it. Don't answer that question. But that's the question that's posed to y'all. And y'all being folk behind me and in front of me too. That's the question. Are you gonna be strong enough to say, yes, we're gonna give you the money, but we want you to? And are you gonna be strong enough to say that that's a priority since we picking money out, appropriating it or making that a priority? I'm not going to ask you to answer that right now. I ain't going to put you on the spot. But I say that that's the question that floats out there, not for you to answer right now, but it's floating whether or not that was the case. So you see what my concern is, though, don't you?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
And I think that as we move forward, not necessarily today, but there may be an opportunity for us to step in, and be able to address that, so that we'll have the let me put it to you like this. We're in a time now that you got to kind of. And I hate to say it, but I'm gonna say it. You got to kind of have the folks in those areas, in those places, who don't mind taking care of business. That's the best way I can say it. Don't mind it. And so I think that it's important that we when we look close, we take that under consideration, because we don't want anything happening in our courthouses.
Well, let me do this, Senator. Let me grab. There's a lady that used to serve in the House that works for the city of Mobile, and she's going to know all about how they got it set up over there. And I want to bring her by your office, and let's see if we can explain what the 13th Judicial Circuit does and how the judges have their own folks working for them. Which I'm sure, if that's an option, your judges would much rather have that, I think.
Okay, well, Mr. President, I yield back to the senator.
All right, Senator Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate my colleagues' comments, and at this point, I would like to move for final passage of SB 7 as substituted using previous role without objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, 0 nays.
President.
Bill 7 passes. Thank you, Senator Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Could I be recognized?
Sure. Point of personal privilege.
Kind of, sort of.
All right.
I really want to be recognized, so that if the chain of, if it can be done this way, to yield to Senator Sessions. Can I do that?
Can't do that.
Can't do it. Can he be recognized?
I mean, for a point of personal privilege?
He got something he want to do.
Since we're on the sunset stuff.
We're not on something.
I mean, we were earlier, so.
We're not now, though, are we?
Yeah.
Between bills, he can't do that.
Mr. President, the rules won't allow us to do it once the sunsets had started.
Oh, yeah.
We're on special order. So
Yeah, that's right.
But we'll get it one day. Actually, we're trying to get the husband of the deceased captain to be here one day, so it may be next week or the next before we do that resolution.
Okay.
But it was a resolution mourning the death and celebrating her life. 55-year-old captain that we had working for the Conservation Department.
Okay.
Just a great state employee that did a lot of good things for the state. But thank you. I talked to you about it earlier. But we'll get it when the rules allow.
Okay. All right, sir. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 19 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 25 by Senator Weaver, relating to the Board of Nursing. BR pending.
Senator Weaver.
Thank you, sir. I've been paying attention, so I'm just going to get up here and say that this is revision to the Nurse Practice Act, and I'd like to move that we adopt the BIR using previous role with no objection, and then I'll get into the discussion.
All right, I'm sorry.
Previous role, no.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 19 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 25 by Senator Weaver relating to the Board of Nursing.
Thank you. So Senate Bill 25 is a recommendation from it was in the interim report for the Healthcare Workforce Task Force. And in looking at this, we have been looking at ways that we can increase the workforce for our healthcare providers. We believe if we revise the Nurse Practice Act to allow for a regulation of a new position called a nursing support tech, that we will be able to do some really great things to improve quality patient care in Alabama. Right now, we have about 1,500 current vacancies in Alabama. You have a lot of these positions that are doing the same thing, but right now nothing is standardized. So this would allow the Board of Nursing to standardize a position and hopefully get a lot of people interested in doing things. I believe it does two things. I believe it allows for greater patient quality care because we'll have the standardized position, but it also creates a stackable credential through the two-year college system so that you would take these people that are already in these roles and standardize the curriculum so that you would hopefully get them going into the direction of becoming nurses. So you would start off as a nursing support tech, maybe you'd be a MAC, maybe you would be a practical nurse, and then if you chose to be an associate degree RN or a bachelor's degree RN, you would continue up the process so that once you had someone in the standardized program, it would create that stackable credential to get these people in the workforce and help us take care of our people here in Alabama.
May I be recognized?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So how long would you have to go? See, I'm so glad you're on the task force. I can get some answers. I think because you right there when they talking and making decisions, so that's good. How long you got to go through training to be certified for this?
So right now you have a lot of different roles. Some people call them patient care techs, some people call them PCAs, some people call them different kind of techs, but these people are taking care of people, providing their, everyday activities. Maybe they're helping them with their basic needs, they're feeding them, they're helping them go to the restroom, they're taking their vital signs. So you have a lot of people that are calling these positions very different things. So this would standardize it. They're doing different educational components in different aspects, whether it be a home health agency or a hospital or another. So there's nothing really standardized. This would create the curriculum, and it would allow the Board of Nursing to create the curriculum. So it hasn't been created yet, but this revision would allow them to move forward to create that official program so that we would have these people certified.
What is the criteria for a school to be accepted to provide this particular program?
Well, that's what we would be creating, is this, allowing the Board of Nurses to create the curriculum. So right now, if you are an able-bodied person and you're ready to work and take care of people, you would qualify. You would go and you would apply for a job with one of these healthcare providers. So right now they're doing education in hospitals or home health, and it's kind of lost in the shuffle because there may be a certain hospital that provides a certain kind of training or a home health agency that provides a certain kind of training, and then people change jobs. So they kind of lose the credit for their training that they had at their previous employer because there's no way to track it and there's no way to create it. But if we have this position under the Board of Nursing, the education would then be in their licensure so that they would always be able to show where they had the training in taking care of people.
All right, now are we creating a new panel who will set the criteria and make the decision of which junior colleges or schools will have the opportunity to offer this program? Is this under existing board already that's going to make those particular decisions? How is that done? And I ask you that because I'm concerned that it may or may not be, the opportunity may not be presented in a broad enough spectrum to possibly be inclusive of a broad spectrum of our junior colleges, i.e. give you a clear example of what I mean. One of our top schools in terms of nursing, RNs, and our percentages is Lawson State. And that is a HBCU school. So even though we have Jeff State that does a good job, and several other schools in the state, I'm sure, different parts, maybe in South Alabama, that do a good job. I think up in Hansville, they have a pretty good little program up there as well. So what would ensure in this bill that I spent 3 days talking about it, and I ain't gonna spend no 3 hours right now, but in a process that provides the subjectivity of a decision, meaning you and I standing right by each other, and they say, okay, you got the right pick which one you pick. You gonna get to pick every time, I mean, cause you the expert. I mean, I'm just saying it from that perspective. You would get it every time. So I would never get an opportunity even though I may have been to school. So I'm just kind of wondering, is what, if any, safeguards are in there that will allow an equitable opportunity?
So this is a program through the ACCS Innovations.
What's the ACCS?
To your college system.
To your college system.
So it's an online program, so it won't be specific to the institutions there.
Oh, it's an online program?
Online program.
They're not going to go to classes or nothing like that in the building or nothing?
So they are developing the curriculum, or they will finish developing the curriculum as soon as we're able to give them the authority to do this through the Board of Nursing. It will be an online program that's available to everyone, and it's totally a volunteer program. There will be some institutions that will choose to not have their people certified, and if they don't want to have their people that are in these tech positions certified, they certainly don't have to. It'll be a volunteer program, and it would be at the discretion of the employer whether or not they are requiring the certification or not.
You may have heard me tell this. If you didn't, I'm going to tell you now. I fully understand the program, what they're talking about doing. I had a more intense version of a program like that back in the day. And I'm gonna tell you how far back in the day. Back in the day, when Shelby Memorial Hospital was about as big as this floor, half of this floor, and then it began to expand. And when it expanded, just like you said, different titles for all of that now. Back in the day, you didn't have LPNs. You had RNs, and then when you came down the chain, you had what was called orderlies. Do you remember them?
I do.
That name, orderlies. Where you're looking at a former orderly. I took classes, just like you were saying, and it wasn't much online as it was like a 6-week course. You take it on weekends. Sometimes if you carry over in the summer, you take it in, you'll do it that way. Where they train me to do everything, from taking temps, blood pressures, even to, imagine this, and there was some intense training, to put in catheters. You got to know what you're doing. And we had the balloon catheter. You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
I do.
Yeah, the balloon catheter. See, you all see the eyes of someone we talking. They probably saying, Smell, what is it that you hadn't worked at doing? But yes, I took that training, and they even taught us about making up the beds. And I can tell you right now, I can make up a bed. And I can make it up so tight that the quarter will bounce that high. Right now, as I stand here. When I put them double folds on them corners, you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Tight as a drum. So I was had a chance to go through something similar, and it's good. Now, I'm looking for the senator sitting back there. Don't go nowhere. I want you to hear what I'm gonna say. I think we are in a posture in here now that based on what you just said right there, say that again. You said it was, and I'm gonna say it, but you said, no, you correct me if I'm wrong, okay? Correct me. I think you said that right now is about 15,000, that you said jobs?
1,500.
1,500 jobs. And at that level, I think the fact that the introduction, as you said earlier, about going up and up and up the ladder in this profession, it's a gateway. You didn't use these words, I'm using the gateway. It's a gateway for those young people to move into those areas where we have a need. Well, I want everybody to listen to me. I know we got something going out the door, but I want them to hear me as you go down the hall. I want y'all to listen. I want y'all to listen back here. Listen. Listen, please. Listen. This is very, very important. Listen, for real. This is why we have a need for the high school that Senator Singleton is talking about in his area for health care. This is the reason. I mean, the reason is a need, and this is a gateway for really kids all over the state. But the majority of them are going to come from this geographical area. And this is a gateway for these young people to move into the healthcare field where we have so many needs. So I'm making an appeal to everybody who's listening and everybody who's in here to get behind that school, let's support it, make it a reality. If I'm not mistaken, the governor talked about that need. Is that right, Senator Singleton? She talked about that need as well. So we have the administration that's behind it, and it's time for us to get, I'm not saying most of us are not behind it, but I know it's some conversation here or there or whatnot, and, you know, listen, I'm like this. I want to help anybody else need help, because somebody helped us one day. I mean, I'm on the northern end, and we have the School of Fine Arts, and it's a perfect, great school, great gateway to the arts and to the sciences and STEMs and whatnot, great. We have the School of Math and Science, a great gateway. Now we got the cyber school in Huntsville. So we got you got the sections, you know, now we got to do something for the people in the West. You know, and this will be an area that they can draw people from other parts of the state to this specialty like we draw up there. People from all parts of the state who wants to be into the arts, who want to be ballerinas, who want to be stage production managers, who want to be playwrights, who want to be all of that, actors, all of that we pull them in that area. People who want to be scientists and all that. The senator who sits here, pulling them up there, okay? So I want everybody to hear that. We need your help so that can become a reality for those kids, just like you need this, so this will become a reality for these young people that you're going to be able to help here. So with that, Senator, I'm going to yield back to you, and you do your thing.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to move final passage. Using previous rule, no objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Strawbritton. Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 25 passes. Thank you, Senator Weaver. Our Secretary called the next bill.
On page 19 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 26 by Senator Weaver relating to the Board of Nursing. BR pending.
Senator Weaver.
So Senate Bill 26, we have one word that we need to correct, and I'll explain more, but I'd like to move adoption of BIR using previous rule with no objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Strawbritton. Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 19 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 26 by Senator Weaver relating to the Board of Nursing.
Senator Weaver.
Thank you, sir. So this fixes one word in a bill that we passed last year. Last year, we had two Senate bills. We had Senate Bill 57 and Senate Bill 60. And they were both bills that dealt with loan repayment for the Board of Nursing for areas of critical need. And one of those bills related to advanced practice nurses, and one of them related to clinical educators. And they were two separate bills. But somehow, there was one word, and I don't know if something happened in the system or if there was a typo that we didn't correct last year, but on line 36, it said nurse educator, and this bill should have said advanced practice nurse, because it was the advanced practice nurse bill. So it's correcting that one word that somehow got through last year and didn't get changed.
How you get to do this? I mean, how you, is these things you're saying to nurse advanced practice, what is that? I mean, what are these, what is
Advanced
that?
practice nurse is nurse practitioner, CRNAs that do anesthesia.
Oh, okay.
Certified nurse midwives. So you
Okay.
had these, they're called advanced practice nurses. So this bill allowed loan repayment through the Board of Nursing for people who were in these criteria that would go to those areas of need. And then again, we had the second bill that had clinical educators, people that were teaching nurses. And for some reason, it says clinical educator instead of advanced practice nurse on line 36.
Well, you've done a good job explaining that. You did that quick. Yeah, I'm yielding back to you.
Thank you. I'd like to move final passage using previous rule, no objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
All right, 34 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 26 passes. Thank you, Senator Weaver. Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 10 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 106 by Senator Kitchens relating to the Commerce Department. BR pending.
Mr. President.
Senator Kitchens.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill deals with the Commerce Department and the way the salary structure is set up. I'd like to move for the BIR using the previous rule with no objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 106. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 10 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 106 by Senator Kitchens relating to the Commerce Department.
All right, Senator Kitchens.
Thank you, Mr. President. Like I said, this bill deals with the salary structure of the Department of Commerce. A lot of the other agencies that we have, they're able to negotiate, so we're able to go out and get the most qualified person for the job. This is actually tied in with the merit system, so what this bill does is it removes that. It's still under the State Personnel Department, so the State Personnel Department adopts the salary matrix for all department heads of the cabinet level positions. So
all right, Senator Smithman.
Gotta be recognized.
You're recognized.
Would you yield?
yes, sir.
How long were you in the House?
I was in the House for 5 years.
How long you been up here?
Well, about 2 months now, almost.
I'm gonna tell you why I asked. It's not about you. In fact, let me say this: you did a good job, and you did a good job last time to the point where I don't have a lot of questions. So my questions are not about you and this. My question is that you're carrying a bill for the Commerce Department, right?
Yes, sir.
You know them people ain't been to see me about none of this. I'm one of 35 people. They ain't even asked for my vote. They ain't never come to my office. I was just saying, you have magic. 6 years and they getting you to carry the bill, and I've been here 30 and they ain't even come by my office. That tells you something. You got magic.
Well,
I want you to come by there and share some of that with me. When you get a chance, when you walk down the hall, you say, let me get cut in this Smithman's office. I want you to share some of that. And I want them to, I'm trying to get them to hear me, the fact that I don't hear nothing from them. Nothing. I don't.
Well,
they don't even talk to me about bringing no business to no district. I'm not saying they don't help people in my area. You know, I don't know. You know, so I'm not saying that. You see what I'm getting at? But I ain't heard. They ain't said nothing to me. They ain't educated me. They ain't even got to ask me. They could at least educate me. Wouldn't you think so? What committee that was in?
It went through Fred, Fiscal
Okay.
Responsibility and Economic Development.
Okay, that's even more reason, because I am not even on Fred. So they should have done that. Are they up there in the stands?
I
Anywhere?
believe
See
they
them?
may be, I know the State Personnel Board, they've worked on this piece of legislation, and I do believe that they are here.
They done came and seen me before that. They done actually asked me, I think, to carry some legislation for them. They won't even come talk to me now? Where are y'all? Raise your hand up there. With the State Board personnel. Y'all up there? Ain't nobody up there. They ain't up there. I mean, you know, it would be nice to know, for them to let me know about the bill. And not because I'm so much, you gotta let me know and not let, they need to let everybody know. That's what I'm saying. I'm not something special. I'm just saying that that's protocol to let somebody know. Otherwise, what happens? I get my first impression where? The committee of the whole. It's the first time other than, they gonna say, well, you knew it on special order. What they got to do with me understanding the bill? See, you hear me say, pre-saying, because that's generally what response. But he had the special order, he could, what that mean, I don't understand it? You know, you ever heard of that thing called reading and comprehension? I might read it, but I am not comprehending the relationship that it has to what they're asking to do. That's why it's important. Now you say, why is he saying this to me? Because you are the conduit. They're not here, so I got to tell you, isn't that right? Because you bring the bill, what, for them? So for the communication to do what? Go back. So that's what this is. This is to ask them to, as they go forward, at least communicate with me, you know.
I will gladly.
Even if I don't agree, and they may not end up agreeing, still communicate with me. You know, don't take the fact because they communicate with one side that takes everybody in. Just because that one side is the majority, they don't have to talk to the other side. You see what I'm saying? I ain't saying that's what they're saying, but that's the way it's looking. You see what I mean? It's looking that way. So I'm just trying to send a message. Say, look, don't do that. You know. Because see, if you look at the realities of this, then you're gonna get a previous vote that's gonna say what? 35 to nothing. Because I'm not gonna object. I don't think nobody else object. See what I mean? They done got 35 votes and they ain't did nothing to try to get them by communicating to nobody. See, that's a bad signal I'm sending right there. But that meant that they can still continue to ignore some people and then just kind of go on the way they're going. So I don't want to reflect in how I address the bill, you know, my concern past that. I want them to correct their process. You see what I mean? How they go by doing that, to make sure that they communicate to everybody in here. So, because we all represent people that, you know, they touch. And so I would appreciate that they would do that. What you think about that? I mean, I ain't putting you on the spot. Do you think that was wrong? I won't say you think it's right. Do you think that was wrong, what I was just sharing and saying?
Like I said, I'll be happy to express your concerns and pass those along.
Okay. That was good. That was a good answer. With that, Mr. President, I'm going to yield back to him.
All right, Senator Kitchens.
Mr. President, I move for final passage using the previous rule without objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Strawbritton. Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, no nays.
All right, 34 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 106 passes. Thanks, Senator Kitchens. Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 3 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 53 by Senator Orr relating to child labor. VIR pending.
Senator Orr.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd move adoption of the BIR using the previous rule.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Strawbritton. Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 3 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 53 by Senator Orr relating to child labor.
All right, Senator Orr.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this is a bill, and I was just talking to the pages back there. I'll explain it briefly, and I think the gentleman's familiar with it. And then the gentlelady from Jefferson has an amendment. I've got an amendment too, and but we'll want to talk about it. So the pages over on the back wall, they're all 14 years old. And I said, you got to listen, this will affect you. And so they kind of perked up, and now they're interested. One of them I caught almost falling asleep a minute ago. So what this bill does right now under current law, if you're 14 or 15, you have to go to the local school superintendent to get permission to get a job after school or whenever. This bill would say you don't have to go to the superintendent to get a job, and to get permission to get a job. And the premise is, why should you have to get permission from the government to go get a job after school? And we know about the good influences of work after school, or work at any point. You build up reliability and certainly a good work ethic and habit. You get the reward from your work in the pay, and then you're able to buy things or go out on dates or whatever you want to do with your money. But what this bill doesn't do is change our labor laws when it comes to youth and their working at any job. So let me read to you the laws that will stay on the books, not going to be touched by this. They're going to remain in force. The gentlelady from Jefferson has an amendment that's going to require some reporting, which is good. But here's the current law, stays on the books. No more than 3 hours on any school day. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, no more than 3 hours. You get out of school at 3 o'clock, you can work from 4 to 7 or something like that. So no more than 3 hours are allowed under current law. That stays. No more than 8 hours on a non-school day. So a Saturday, no more than 8 hours. No more than 6 days a week. No more than 8. This is a big one. No more than 18 hours a week are allowed. So if you got an employer who's playing by the rules and following our child labor laws, and I've got them right here from our Department of Labor, no more than 18 hours a week. So the idea that we're going to overwork the children, or we're going to somehow they're going to suffer in their studies because we're going to overwork them or take a lot of time. If you played athletics, Senator, I know you did, and I did too back in the day, a long time ago. But athletics after school took a lot of time. Practice, probably more than 18 hours a week. We were practicing and playing games or whatever, traveling to, schools a county or two over for a basketball game or whatever. So those laws stay in effect. Also, these are the jobs that they're allowed to have. So it's pretty specific. The work permitted is office work, grocery store, retail store, restaurant, like a waiter, waitress, movie theater, or amusement parks. Can't do any hazardous jobs, can't be out there, construction sites, etc. Those under our current labor laws are the only types of jobs that you're allowed. So not dangerous jobs, jobs that aren't going to put them in jeopardy. So that's the bill in short. I do have an amendment, but I'll defer to the Jefferson County folks across the way if they got questions or comments or whatever.
Mr. President. Oh, we got a new president up there. Mr. President.
Sir.
Be recognized with a Jimmy
Switcheroo there.
With a yield. And I'm on my yield right back.
Sir.
When you say 18 hours,
Yep.
is that Monday through Friday, or does that include them 8 hours that they can work on Saturday?
Per week.
It's a week to 7 days?
7 days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they get 8 on, they can knock them out 8 on Saturday, and then you can do that two each day through the week. That's 10.
Yep.
4 and 4 and
Yep.
2 that way.
Yes, sir. And you can't work before 7 a.m. and you can't work after 7. Senator Smitherman, you cannot work after 7 p.m. any day of the week. So Saturday night, you done at 7 o'clock.
Now that's
like
pretty decent right there.
This is my source right here, the child labor laws from our good Department of Labor.
I was asked by one of my colleagues in the summertime, can they that doesn't apply to them in the summer when they're not in school, does it?
When they're not in school, I can go further. When public schools are not in session, no more than 8 hours a day, no more than 6 days a week, no more than 40 hours per week, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., and that's during the summertime.
Okay.
So you're
okay.
off at 9 p.m.
Okay.
That's the latest you can.
All right, so what we're eliminating, one of the things we're eliminating is the grades. That, you know, because that's really what they go by the school to check and make sure they're in good standing academically. So we're eliminating that requirement, right?
That requirement is the superintendent's permission. Yes, that's the one requirement that's being eliminated. But like I said in committee, and I think you were there, leave it to the parents. You know, let the parents decide what's best for their child. Because what if one system you had a superintendent and said, hey, C's are okay with me. C, you know, if a student's a C student, I'm good with that. And then you drive into another school district and the superintendent's like, nope, you got to have all B's to get my permission. And you got no standard out there. It's just a loosey-goosey kind of world. And again, leave it with the family, leave it with the parent. We're taking care of the children, and as far as their protection, overwork, dangerous jobs, et cetera, all that stays the same.
Well,
and I got a bunch of states that have done this. If you
I'll say this to you from that regard. I in the summer, I think, like you said, it was 14, and I had to get some kind of special permission, because when I was 12, I had to go get special permission to
I don't know about 12-year-old.
Oh, I did it at 12. I did it. In fact, the lady, not now, but the lady who certified it for me, she used to stay in the area that I stayed. But no, I've been working for, 40 hours, a combination, like you said, they are, but 40 hours since I was 12 years old. Yeah, so I know what you're saying about young people. But see, you do have special situations where things cause young people to have to go out and work like that. And I just give you a clear example of mine. It's just, I had a simple fact that, my dad was an invalid. He had a serious stroke when I was 7. See what I mean? So I had to step up to the plate. And step up to the plate. So it was good that I had the opportunity to step up to the plate. That's what I'm saying. That I could get out and work and help provide and take care of some things for our family. So yes, I see the advantages, and this can be a positive. I like cutting off at 7. Because you are right about practices. Even we have a practice at 3:40. That's when they get out of school. It's 6 before we stop, and they go change in locker rooms and shoot a little bit afterwards. It's about 6:30 before they get out. They don't get home to 7. So that's basketball. Football is a little later, because we don't even have a field that we have to go across the city to practice, bus ride back. So you're right that 7 o'clock is a good time, good cutoff. And so with that, I'm going to yield to the senator here. I guess you got your amendment, you're going to work, and she got hers. And then I'll just be here after y'all get through.
Oh, you can take a long walk down the hall if you'd like. We'll take care of business here. We're your friends.
Hey, long as if you tell me to walk down there, and I can drop my request by your office for my district.
We're waiting on it.
On the way out.
Mr. Chairman, am I recognized?
Senator Coleman Madison.
Thank you, sir. Senator Orr, have an amendment that I'd like to offer.
All right, Secretary, read and receive the amendment, please.
Amendment to Senate Bill 53 by Senator Coleman Madison. Replace line 127 on page 5 with the following.
Senator Orr, I think, well, I've already shared with you what this amendment is about. And the reason being because it's across the nation, people are attempting to weaken child labor laws and violations. And so last year there were a number of legislations that had been introduced as far as child labor protections. Somehow it reflects a trend as far as employers. I don't know if they're trying to fill gaps as far as people needing jobs into the labor force. But I just want to give you a little statistics as to why we're offering this. Nationally, the number of minors employed in violation of child labor laws in 2022 was 37% higher than 21 and 283% higher in 2015. In just the past 10 years, there were a number of children that were illegally employed that increased over 400%. October 2022 and August of 2023 alone, the Federal Labor Department concluded that 800 investigations involving over 4,000 children, and this is just a fraction because a lot of them were not reported. And of course, we had a case here in Alabama, in Coleman, just last month, well, really this month in February, that they were found illegally hiring a 15-year-old. And the child, this was a roofing job, which I'm so glad that you have articulated here and explain those areas where children could work. I do feel a little bit better about the bill now that you have explained it. I'm glad we have young people here because they are really seeing legislation or lawmaking in process. It is at the lowest level to our young people, and the bills that we pass down here, laws that we pass here, try to protect our young people. At the same time, we want to allow you the freedom to grow and be the great person that you are. And so what this bill, what this amendment does is put in some protections, basically, that requires reporting by these companies to our Department of Labor to provide the age, the county of residence, race, sex, national origin, the school status, and the length of employment for those children that are 14 and 15-year-old. And when they came before us, that was one of the things that I asked, do you have statistics? Do you have any reports? And they couldn't give me any. So these reports will be given to the Department of Labor, and of course, they will be available to us that we can check into it. And of course, if there are any employers, and you're going to always have bad actors, in spite of the law, you will have bad actors. But this also requires us to monitor any employer that has a criminal history of violating these, and it will be a red flag. And so I offer this as a friendly amendment and
Previous roll.
move adoption using previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, 0 nays. Senator Coleman, Madison amendments adopted.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Thank you.
Senator.
And I would say that I think the gentleman from Selma is going to speak. He's trying to do something. I co-sponsored his legislation about child labor and the penalties. I had a situation in my district several years ago where they had very young children working odd hours, brought in from overseas, and the penalty, and I think they had 20 or 30 children, the penalty was like $60,000, and which was just a flash in the pan for the months and years this had been going on in that company till they were found out. But that's all the Department of Labor could do.
Mr. President, may I be
Senator Stewart,
recognized?
you are.
It's great to dialogue with the gentleman from Decatur. I come in peace. And I just want to thank you for co-sponsoring the legislation. It's been SB 119 has been referred to the Judiciary Committee. I want to thank you for being an advocate for children, the investments that we've made in public education. And I just want to ensure that we have these safeguards in place to deter bad actors. I have talked with the Department of Labor about the bill that I've introduced, and they say they agree that the fees are just too low. They agree, and they agree with the criminal aspect too, as well.
Oh, these children were being warehoused, and it was awful.
Yeah.
How this unfolded, and it may be similar to the Coleman County situations.
One of the things I want us to remember is about the cycle of poverty. And I want to ensure, and I want us as a body to ensure that we give children, every child, an opportunity, ensure that there's a pathway out of poverty. One of my concerns is a lot of times children, they get caught in a rat race, right? You start working, you're helping out with bills, and then they may end up dropping out of school. And that's something that we want to make sure that we want to make sure all children are supported, that they're going to school, and they have a pathway to enjoy the workforce development opportunities that we have in our state. So thank you, and I yield.
Sure. Thank you. And the 3 hours a day, won't hopefully hurt, but it'll get them some money in their pocket and learn the value of work and the importance of work, rather than mama's got to go downtown, try to find the superintendent to try to get some piece of paper. And you know how sometimes psychologically that can be a high hurdle for some people to try to achieve just so their child can work. So hopefully we'll take away that impediment to that.
All right.
President, I've got an amendment I'd like to offer.
All right, Secretary, read and receive the amendment.
Amendment to Senate Bill 53 by Senator Orr. Replace lines 84 through 85 on page 3 and 4 with the following. Replace line 127 through 128 on page 5 with the following. Replace line 130 on page 5 with the following.
Okay. Mr. President, this is an amendment after dialogue in the Judiciary Committee. I went to the smartest person in the building. He was in here, the head of the LSA, and you got to be kidding me. I'm going to laugh about that for quite some time, Greg. I went to Mr. Latham and worked on an amendment to satisfy some concerns of Senator Figures. At this time, I'd like to move adoption of the amendment using the previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Strawbritton. Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, 0 nays. The Senator Orr amendment's adopted. All right, Senator Orr.
I would yield to any follow-up commentary we have.
What'd you say that amendment you just passed?
Senator Figures in committee, I don't know if you were there, she was a little concerned about whether the parents would be informed or not.
I remember
the child had some work, so that's what that does.
Okay, that was it. Back to you.
Seeing no other dialogue or questions, I'd move third reading using the previous roll, Mr. Chair.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Strawbritton. Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, no nays.
All right, 34 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 53 passes. Thank you, Senator Orr. Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 5 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 105 by Senator Singleton and Orr relating to civil liability. BR pending.
All right, Senator Singleton.
Mr. President.
Senator Singleton.
Yes, this is a bill about community rescue emergency teams called CERTs. And these CERTs are usually used in rural communities like volunteer fire departments. So in times of storms, CERTs are part of the first initiative rescue that goes out. They're FEMA trained. They go out and they try to help with organizing families. They go out and do search and rescue. They set up soup kitchen and all kinds of things. And they work through with FEMA. So FEMA set these community response emergency teams up in communities so they'll have a group so when they come in they can correspond with and coordinate with. And with this, we just want to give them immunity in this bill. So what this bill does is just like we do with our volunteer fire departments and police officers that are going out, We have search that may go out on search and rescue. They may find somebody lying up on a tree or something, or trapped, and may need CPR. They're trained in it, so they want to give the CPR, but then they may be liable if something happens to that person. So all this bill does is give them that liability. I've worked with trial lawyers. They put some language in this bill that was in the sub, as we'll look at it when it comes up. With that explanation, I can further talk about the amendment as it come up. With that, I'd like to move for the BR use of previous role without objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
All right, 34 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 5 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 105 by Senators Singleton and Orr, relating to civil procedure, committee substitute pending.
Senator Singleton.
Yes, what we did was offer a substitute instead of an amendment. The substitute was engraved the amendment that trial lawyers wanted to put on, and what they really wanted to do was to make sure that they met the FEMA certified training that they do, and so we were okay with that, and that's what they basically did. So with that, I'd like to move for adoption of the sub without an objection, use of previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
All right, 34 ayes, 0 nays. The committee substitute's adopted. Senator Singleton.
Mr. President, again, this is about, trying to help small rural communities in times of need for rescue and response. These people are trained and making sure they're getting trained, that they're part of this community, just like we do with our volunteer fire departments. Without any other questions from the gentleman on the other side, I'd like to move for third reading be dispensed with use of previous role without objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 105 passes. Thanks, Senator Singleton.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 26 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 50 by Senator Allen, relating to appliances, BR pending.
Mr. President.
Senator Allen.
I move the adoption of the BR using previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
Page 26 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 50 by Senator Allen, relating to appliances.
Mr. President. Yes, sir. Let me give you just a brief description of what this is all about. This bill would prohibit a governmental entity from restricting a person or other entities from acquiring or using an appliance based solely on the type of energy or energy generation used to operate the appliance. So this is a piece of legislation that in recent days has some discussion about trying to do away with fossil fuels and requiring all appliances be operated by electricity, but this is related to natural gas. And since Alabama is rich in natural gas and all, this is a very good piece of legislation. And basically what this does is to prohibit governmental entities across our state that cannot and will not be able to tell, what you can use and not use. So this is what this is all about. Mr. President, I move the adoption, the passage of the use of previous role.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 50 passes. Thanks, Senator Allen.
May I be recognized, Mr. President?
Yeah, you're recognized.
Senator Allen, I just wanted to tell you that's a good bill, man. I mean, people from the old school know we go back to 8 tracks and CDs, and people talk about streaming now, and we like to sometimes use what we know is more reliable. And I know that's what you're saying here. Many people in certain areas of our state, they don't necessarily can get their hands on certain things. They got generators and things. They still want to be able to have heat and survive and not be restricted. And so I just want to tell you that. And I want to say this to the body, although there's time to time some bills that we may or may not be totally in lockstep, but I want them to let them know that you and I passed about 4 or 5 bills together that we've been in step with. Some of them we've co-sponsored. So this is a good bill, and I wanted to tell you that.
Listen, we make a great team, Senator.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks, Senator Allen. Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 6 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 100 by Senator Chasteen, relating to the Board of Medical Scholarship Awards Fund. BR pending.
Senator Chasteen.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'd like to move for BIR using previous role.
All right, any objection?
Without objections.
Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 7 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 100 by Senator Chasteen, relating to the Board of Medical Scholarship Awards.
All right, Senator Chasteen.
Yeah, each year, the Board of Medical Scholarships awards scholarships to medical students in their second and third year of medical school. And what this fund would do is, these students have to contract to serve in unserved areas of the state. And depending upon the population, they'll serve for 4 years, 5 years, or 6 years. Now, there are times when students have gone into an area and after they finish their medical degree and they've decided that that wasn't for them, they wanted to move on, so they have to pay back that loan through the Board of Medical Scholarships. And what this bill would do is it would create a fund. The money now is in another account, and this money would go back to the treasurer to be invested with the State Treasury Department. Any questions from my colleague? No questions. I move for final passage using previous rule without objections.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 100 passes. Thanks, Senator Chasteen.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yep. Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 11 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 101 by Senator Kelly, relating to the Board of Heating and Air Conditioning and Refrigeration Contractors. BR pending.
All right, Senator Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move passage of the BIR by final vote.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Okay. Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 11 of the calendar, Senate Bill 101 by Senator Kelly, relating to the Board of Heating, Air Conditioning, and Refrigeration Contractors.
Senator Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. President. What this bill does, it does away with an apprentice program that has not worked out like it was planned to. And since 2020, there's only been 4 people that have been involved in this. It also gives the authority of the HVAC Commission to allow the hookups, minor electrical hookups that come in the day-to-day work of HVAC units, and also allows for the increase of the surety bond in case that they choose to do that. So that's what the bill does, Mr. President. And I would move for final passage.
All right, was that used previous role?
Yes, sir.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 101 passes. Thanks, Senator Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, Secretary, call the next bill in the calendar.
Page 18 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 15 by Senator Beasley, relating to the Board of Pharmacy. BR pending.
All right, Senator Beasley.
Thanks for the recognition, Mr. President. I'd like to move for passage of the BR and use the previous role without objection.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 18 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 15 by Senator Beasley, relating to the Board of Pharmacy.
Senator Beasley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Senate, under existing law, the Alabama Board of Pharmacy regulates compounding pharmacies, and compounding pharmacies are such as they compound a prescription and they use the different ingredients and they compound it, whether it's an ointment or solution or whatever. Under normal circumstances, the drug manufacturers prepare everything for the pharmacy. Under existing law, it's required that 3 pharmacy technicians per pharmacist, 1 pharmacist, in a compounding setting. And what this bill does, it allows the Board of Pharmacy to set by rule the composition of how many technicians are required to go for 1 compounding pharmacist. There are no questions, Mr. President. I move for final passage, use the previous roll without objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 15 passes. Thanks, Senator Beasley.
Thank you.
All right, Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 18 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 59 by Senators Orr and Melson relating to public K-12 education. BR pending.
All right, Senator Orr.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd move adoption of the BIR using the previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
All right, 34 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 18 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 59 by Senator Orr relating to public K-12 education. Committee amendment pending.
All right, Senator Orr.
Mr. President, this is a CPR bill along with defibrillator training for those in high school, that they'll learn how to do basic CPR and use a defibrillator in their school. There is a committee amendment pending, and I would like to move adoption of the amendment using the previous roll.
May I be recognized?
Sure.
Can you tell me what the amendment does?
Well, in committee, when I went to the Health Committee, the chairman was surprised to have a member of the committee offer an amendment to name this act or this bill in his honor. So it's the Senator Tim Melson Act, I believe, is the name of the committee, or the name of the amendment. Yes, Senator Tim Melson Act, if we pass this fine piece of legislation.
I think that is more than fitting.
I do
we
too.
do that.
I did ask his permission to do it, though.
I think that is more than fitting, that it really is. And I'll say this to you. If there's any taste to it. I'm gonna let you do that. I'm moving that you do that. But I got a question after I make this comment. Is that I understand why, and I think it's more than appropriate. You know, as a coach, we have to be certified to do this. You know, we have to be certified to handle all that equipment and be able to do CPR. So that we can get our certification as coaches with the Alabama High School Athletic Association. And I can't think of a better thing than to get these young people who may be the only ones out there in the gym at the time. And they got to know immediately, and who better to carry this bill than you? I mean, based on experience, you know,
unfortunately,
as the words I use so many times, you've been road tested, you know, and so I think that's good. Now, the only question I got is that, is it mandatory for every child in the school? And if it is it going to be a class that has credit or non-credit?
You know, what I didn't want to do is overburden our schools on this. So the bill says that a high school that has instruction in health education, and that's a class that they have to take, that part of the health education class that's already required to graduate, it's part of the core curriculum, that they would have to learn CPR, the techniques of CPR, how to do it, and then also how to operate a defibrillator machine, a AED, automated external defibrillator. And so it's just part of that health curriculum that they'll do. So it shouldn't take long, shouldn't take a lot of days, and shouldn't be too complicated. That they teach the children how to do it. If this knucklehead can do it, then the children surely can learn it and do much better.
Mr. President, would the gentleman entertain a question? While I support this bill and I understand where you're going with this, but I do have an issue or are concerned. And I heard you said earlier today, politicians, everybody got a concern. Will there be any funding with this bill to fund more than one AED in a school? Because if you got one and this at the principal office and this happens over at the gym and it's cross campus, do we have time, or do we need to make sure that there are at least more than one in a school if we're really serious about making sure of the use? If we can train all the people that we want to in it, but if they're not there or have the ability to have access to it, it makes no difference.
Well, you know, ideally, or hopefully, the incident wouldn't happen in the school, but as the senator from Jefferson says, it certainly can happen in the school.
And it does.
I had interestingly enough, I had a principal contact me in the last couple of days who said in a school, it was actually a middle school, elementary, a K-8, and one of her 7th or 8th graders collapsed with a heart episode, and they did have a defibrillator and rushed it in there and revived the child. As far as this bill, it doesn't have any funding. It's just the training requirement. But the thought is, as they go out into the world, that at least they'll have this basic training, and defibrillators are becoming more and more common. I think the senator from Madison over here he required it in every school or something, had a bill years ago.
In this building, he was the reason why it's right outside this door.
Raise your hand back there.
He's the reason why I was about to respond to that, to say that when I first got to the Senate, he made that happen.
And they're more and more common out there, and the price has gone down. Boy, when they first came out, they were expensive.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you, the money man.
And,
you the money man.
No, it's your money too.
You the money man. But I don't handle it like you do. You the money man. I see why we're saying these kids need it, you know. Based on the bill to whom is named after, we were blessed that we were in a foreign country and one was in that remote area where we were. Yes, we were blessed that one was there in that remote area. You know how remote we were. We was as remote as going across on a ski lift to get to where we were. And
we weren't skiing.
We weren't skiing, but we had to go on a ski lift to get to where we were. And then the emergency had to come on a ski lift the same way that we got there because there was no helicopter in the area. We crossed the river and everything to get to where we were, which were more than a quarter of a mile from the main area to where we had come into. And so with that, when they 119, instead of 911, they're 119 emergency. You remember the orange, black they were wearing, came in. It was already in use when they got there. And so that's why I'm saying, if we are looking to train our kids in school, why not just make the next step and make sure that they are at our schools? It's almost like SROs, and when people are coming in our schools and shooting, but we don't have security and we know it's going to happen. So the possibility when you got, we got over 176,000 kids in the Alabama school system, in public schools, 700 some odd thousand kids in Alabama.
60, 70.
It's bound to happen. It's bound to happen at some point, somewhere, sometime. And you got some of these schools are biggest college campuses here in the state of Alabama. You know what I'm saying? You go up in Birmingham and look back off in the woods, you think it's, you know, it's a college campus, Thompson and all those schools, you know, big schools back up in there. Shades Valley, you think they are big college campuses. And the building from one area to the next could be way across and there's no defibrillators around. So all I'm asking is the consideration while we do this training, let's make sure that at least one in each and one, at least in our schools, more than one in our school system, to where, so if there is a need, then those kids can be able to utilize the training that they would have gotten. That's all I'm asking.
Very good point.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
All right.
Seeing no other commentary, Mr. President, I'd yield to the gentleman from Lauderdale.
All right.
Would you mind telling that story again? Because I don't remember any of that. No, thank you for carrying this bill.
I don't think you want to remember it, and I wouldn't if I were you.
Well, I'm just thinking it must have been somebody else right now, so thank you for carrying this bill.
Hey, well, and just so everybody knows, I asked Senator Melson if he wanted to carry it, if he, minded if I carried it, because I think it needed to pass regardless of who the sponsor was, and he said, no, you do it, and then I collaborated with others to try to get it named after him. So
I had no
Tim,
part of that, but thank you.
seriously, I'll call you Tim.
Absolutely.
Through your trials, and goodness knows you went through trials for weeks and months with the experience you underwent, but because of this, all these thousands and thousands and thousands of young people will be trained that may not have ordinarily been trained in CPR and using the defibrillators. I guarantee you, in their lifetimes, lives will be saved because of what you went through. So God's got a plan. We know that. And, thanks for being the guinea pig.
Thank you for carrying it.
Sure.
All right, thanks, Senator Melson. All right, I got a motion to adopt the committee amendment using previous roll.
roll, correct.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Strawbritton. Mr. Williams.
24 ayes. All right, 34 ayes, 0 nays. The committee amendment's adopted. All right, Senator Orr.
I'd move third reading using the previous roll, Mr. President.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Strawbritton. Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 59 passes. Thanks, Senator Orr. All right, Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 9 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 46 by Senator Shelnutt relating to the Insurance Department. BR pending.
Senator Shelnutt.
Mr. President, I'm going to follow the instructions of my senator from Jefferson County. He says to pass the budget isolation resolution and then talk about the bill. So I move for passage of the BIR using previous roll with no objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Strawbritton. Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, no nays. 34 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 9 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 46 by Senator Shelnutt relating to the Insurance Department.
Mr. President, all right.
Shelnutt.
Every year, Senator Smithman, our Department of Insurance is a great department, keeps our industry running smoothly, and every year they have to come with bills that clarify things that are done at the national level, NAIC. This is one of those bills that, they got to adopt the revisions to the Non-Admitted Insurance Model Act. Non-admitted is those high-risk insurance things that come up with State Farm, Alpha, Protective, all those don't want to deal with. So that's what this deal deals with. The bill includes the revision to be eligible non-admitted from outside the U.S. and Alabama. The insurer must be listed on the quarterly listing of alien insurers maintained by the International Insurers Department of the NAIC. I can keep reading this forever and ever. It's complicated stuff. Nobody kind of knows what's going on unless you really dig into this. You might know what I'm talking about. I'm not sure. It's one of those complicated. Just keeps us in line.
I think I know what you said.
Yeah, it just keeps us in line and lets the industry run smoothly. Is the short.
At the proper time, I want to be recognized.
All right.
So
you may or may not know the answer to it, but would this extend into a variety of areas? Because I know you take like people who got these beach homes and stuff. That's the high risk part, and I understand what you're doing. Really, I was just telling someone I had the blessings to major in this, and not that I keep up with it on a yearly basis, but some things stick with you. And basically what I gather you're saying, and I could be wrong, is that we have it's a certain level of companies that deal with this extraordinary risk. and where you can't get other people to do it. And this is setting a protocol as far as certain standards and things such as being listed, like you were saying, and those kind of things. Would they kind of give a little model to what you're doing right now?
You're absolutely correct. You know, it has to deal with those insurance companies, those, you know, down on the coast, we definitely have those issues that, you know, they have trouble getting insurance. So that's
Well, all right. Well, I yield back to you. It shall be or not. Go with it.
All right, Senator Shelnut.
I move for passage of SB 46 using the previous roll if no
All right,
objection.
any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 46 passes. Thanks, Senator Shelnut. Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 9 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 47 by Senator Shelnut relating to insurance. BR pending.
Senator Shelnut.
Move for passage of the BIR of SB 47 using the previous roll if no objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
34 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 9 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 47 by Senator Shelnut relating to insurance.
Senator Shelnut.
All right, Mr. President. Another one of those Department of Insurance bills. In 1951, the Alabama legislature enacted legislation allowing the Commissioner of Insurance to approve an assigned risk plan for automobile liability insurance for those who were unable to procure the insurance through ordinary methods due to the applicant's risk. 1951, was Jabo here?
Hey, I'm sorry, Senator Shelnut. That's not germane.
Oh, sorry. It was. I'll just see if he was awake. Senator, do you have any questions about this? Okay, sure. All right, Mr. President, I move for final passage of SB 47 using previous roll with no objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
All right, 34 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 47 passes. Thanks, Senator Shelnut.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, Senator Reed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had a good day today, worked through 14 pieces of legislation that obviously are important to you as our members. We'll have more action tomorrow. We remember we've got the sunset legislation that we're going to be dealing with. So with that, Mr. President, I want to thank the members for their diligence today and make a motion that we're going to stand adjourned until 3 p.m. tomorrow, Wednesday, February 28th.
All right, heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem.